everybody. Welcome to the Project Management Community of Practice monthly webinar for January 2020. We're excited to have you here. We're going to get started here in a couple minutes. Christa and I are here to do the presentation. So just give you a minute to everybody to get in and get settled, and then we'll get started. Thank you. All right, we're going to get started here. It's 11 o'clock on the dot. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us for the Project Management Community of Practice monthly webinar series. We're super excited to have you here today. We got a great topic, and Christa Glassman from ITEC is going to be presenting for us. So we're going to get started here. Just a little housekeeping here. So what is the Project Management Community of Practice? Is if this is your first time joining us for one of our monthly webinars, I do know we have a couple new people. We're creating something for the project management professionals inside and outside the SUNY community. You don't necessarily need to be a project manager to join our group. We're just looking for people that are managing projects, whether they be building projects, whether they be academic projects, whether they be technical projects. We're looking to create that space where you guys can share your best practices, talk about different concepts and learn, and then possibly get some extra training, whether it is peer-to-peer training or it is formalized training from a learning service, that sort of things. So we have these monthly webinars. We invite somebody from our community or outside of it to come and talk about a topic. They are usually held on the fourth Thursday of every month. This month, because the university address was on the fourth Thursday, we moved it to the fifth Thursday. Thankfully, there was a fifth Thursday this month. We have different discussion posts from ourselves, the moderators, and from yourselves. We try to do different polls to kind of get information and understand the pulse of the community. And like we said, different training opportunities, whether they be, like I said, peer-to-peer training opportunities where somebody else in the SUNY community is teaching something, whether they be informal training opportunities or formal, whether they be paid or free. We do post a lot of free webinars out there that some of the different vendors that the SUNY the SUNY Center for Professional Development works with, so that you can take advantage of those as well. So who are your, Who are your moderators? Myself, Kris Lynch. I'm the program coordinator at the SUNY CPD. I mostly focus on technical programs. My contact information is there. And then we have Christa, and she'll introduce herself as well in a moment. She's the director of the project management office at ITEC. She's an ITEC project manager, and her contact information is there. So, all right, Christa, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Christa Glassman from SUNY ITEC. Some of you may know me, some of you may not, just know me by name. If you're not familiar with what ITEC does, we are the private cloud for SUNY. So many of the campuses use our back office infrastructure services to host your back office operations, such as Banner, DegreeWorks, Blackboard, Ensemble, Lyris, and a number of other applications that are used to run your businesses. We established the ITEC Project Management Office here at ITEC about 10 years ago. There are 3 of us who work in this office, and our goal was to bring a little bit more structure to our managed IT service operation. It has been a growing experience, that is for sure, and hopefully today during this webinar you'll get to know us a little bit better and get to know what we did to help bring our back office and process management into a little more matured level. Well, when we started here, we were a smaller organization. We've now grown in size, almost tripled in size in the last 10 years, which is all good. But with that growth, it needs to be accompanied by a little bit more structure. So what we'd like to do today as we start our webinar, and you can advance the slide, please. Thank you. We're going to talk about what's known in our industry, our project management industry, as the project maturity scale. And it's kind of a play on words, grow up, moving your organization up the scale. What we want to accomplish today is for you to recognize and identify the maturity level of the project and processes that are used in your departments and in your campuses today. First, we're going to look at how you identify or characterize what these different levels are, as you see on the screen. What do they look like? And then we'll go through some steps you can take to try to grow your organization or grow your processes from level 1 to level 2, level 3, 4, and 5, and etc. I did present this same topic at the COA forum last November at CPD. And if you have the chat box nearby for this webinar and you want to raise your hand in the chat box and let us know whether or not you were at that session, or perhaps you listened to the recording after the session, just let us know. It'd be good to know who's with us on the call. You can use the chat box to let Kris know if you were attending that or listened to it. If you did, thank you very much. And if you didn't, that's okay too. Today we're going to take a deeper dive on the same topic that we talked about last year. So first, let's look at this scale. Everybody starts here at level 1, and you can see the scale along the bottom is time and along the side is maturity. So once we dive in here, the level 1 is called Adhoc, and that's where just about everybody starts. So keep in mind here that the target group, as Kris mentioned when she did our introduction, the target group for this workplace webinar series is SUNY staff who lead projects and SUNY and people who also work on project teams for their campuses. This can be projects of almost any type: technology, facilities, rolling out new programs. You may even have a title of project manager at your campus. More than likely, you don't, or there isn't anyone with that title of project manager, but nonetheless, you're responsible for executing project work. So it's assumed when we're looking at this maturity scale that you're somewhat familiar with basic project management principles. And those principles would be things like planning projects, getting requirements statements from sponsors, executing projects, handling schedules, doing follow-up, meeting minutes, things like that. So back to our levels, foundationally speaking from project management, the chart we're looking at here is actually cited from 2003, and there's more recent iterations of this chart, but they all follow this same 5-step structure. All right, so we're going through the definitions. Can you go back just one? Sorry, Kris, go back to level 1. Yes. We're going to be taking a poll once I've finished defining these different levels. We'll take a poll of the members on the call to see where you think your organization will be. So listen carefully to the different characteristics that describe each level. So level 1, the ad hoc level, this is where it's pretty much every man for themselves. One way to recognize level 1 is to examine how common processes are handled. So a common process at a campus might be something like setting up a classroom lab. If those classroom lab setups run differently every single time and people do them using their own flavor or own flair, you may be in a level 1 organization. Nothing is really that organized, and the success of your work depends almost exclusively on individual effort and heroics. Some firefighting is usually going on here. there's little to no automation, and there isn't really too much in terms of modeled operations. Okay, so moving on to level 2, as you move up the scale, you can recognize if you're a level 2 called abbreviated or repeatable. Here you've got a few basic processes, and those processes for projects contain things like the ability to track costs, the ability to track a schedule of some nature, whether or not that schedule's in Microsoft Project or on an Excel sheet or Post-it notes on somebody's wall. You're at least tracking a schedule. And you're also tracking functionality. Functionality meaning, what are the outcomes? What are the functions that the project is supposed to produce for your customer? Here in the abbreviated level, you may have some successes from projects you had performed earlier. So you take those successes and you use the pieces that worked well and apply them to your new project. When you're looking at this, another characteristic would be that you're handling these processes in a similar way every single time, no matter who is doing the work. So those classroom labs we just talked about, no matter who's assigned to setting up the classroom labs, they would have a set of clear instructions that anybody could follow and get the same result. Many times you take those processes and make them into a blueprint and look at those similarities and make adjustments where needed. Okay, so those are the characteristics for level 2. If we move on to level 3, then it's called the organized and defined. This is where you're getting even more mature. And this is likely where many of you on the call are or are trying to get to fairly soon. These are characterized by both management and engineering activities show documentation, they show there are standards. Everybody uses these standards in the same way time after time. This does apply to both projects and to ongoing maintenance work. I'll give a few examples here, banner upgrades or desktop refresh cycles. Now, when I say management and engineering activities, I'll give you some examples. For the management activities, a characteristic of maturity is where more people are focused on, where the people focus processes like staff meetings, weekly staff meetings, or project status meetings, or strategic review meetings, or performance reviews. They follow standard processes. You have agendas, you have action items, somebody takes minutes, somebody gets target dates for actions, somebody does follow-up, there's owners for these activities, agendas get published ahead of time to the meeting attendees. Those are the processes that show that management is becoming more mature. When it comes to engineering activities, those are related to the technically focused processes like banner upgrades, desktop refreshes, database clones, deployments of applications, and what have you. All right, let's move to level 4. This one is called the managed level. Here you're getting far more data. It's far more quantitative in nature at this level. You're actually collecting, you have a way to collect and measure the quality of your product and your processes, and they're much more controlled processes. It's a more formalized way of releasing software, for example. And you don't really get to level 4 unless you've spent some time really hardening level 3, the level before this. You have to work at that for a while, maybe a few years, get it solid in everyone's mind before you can be successful moving up this ladder. Some examples for good level 4 management process would be, in a lot of cases, software vendors who put their releases, their software releases into chunks of releases, and they document them fully, they test them fully, they release them on a regular cycle, they accompany them with the release notes, they accompany them with extra support time, those kinds of things. Sometimes with our vendors that we work with here at SUNY, such as like banner releases from our vendor Illusion or our Blackboard releases, I don't know if anyone on the call has noticed how those releases are managed through the vendor. They do multiple announcements. They'll do a roadmap ahead of time so you can anticipate and expect when their big product releases would be expected to arrive. Normally on a calendar level, they do them once every quarter as an example, or twice a year. But you know what's coming, you know when it's coming, and you know what's in the release. That's a pretty well managed level 4 maturity scale. All right, and then the final one is level 5, which is optimized. This is where continuous process improvement comes into play. These people have been at level 4 probably for a long period of time, and now they're trying to tweak out or get additional productivity or efficiency out of processes that are already in place. And they do a lot of work on collecting quantitative data so they can determine what the best bang for the buck would be when they apply continuous process improvement. A lot of piloting of innovative ideas happen at this stage, and they use their cost and their schedule data to measure how successful they are. Many times you'll find this in large government projects, Department of Defense, where they collect what's known as KPIs, key performance indicators, and they measure them on a very regular and structured basis. Okay, so that's the description or definition of those 5 levels. Kris, if you could pull up the poll, I would like people to go ahead and take the poll and let us know where you believe your organization falls on this scale. And think about today. Think about where you believe your organization falls today. Give you a few minutes. So you're launching a new session on pollev.com, SUNY CPD. To respond to this poll, or you could text your answer to SUNY CPD using text 22333. Okay, looks like we have our results. We have 100% of the folks on the call believe that their organization is in the ad hoc level 1 stage. Okay, that's good. That's a little different. When we did the poll last November at the PM Forum, we had organizations, some were in 1, some were in 2. And Kris, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had 2 and 3 pretty well represented. All right, so let's move on then to how do you get from the starting phase of level 1 ad hoc? What are some of the things you can do to start maturing up the ladder? Moving from ad hoc level 1 to the abbreviated or repeatable level. Well, first, you would want to look at ways to attend or think through, learn about change management. Because after all projects are really about change. We'll have a little summary topic slide at the end, but projects always bring change They always bring about change to an organization, whether it be a change in methods for processing financial data, whether it be a change in a vendor for a training solution, whether it be a change to the way desktops are deployed. And I'm speaking really more in IT terms for IT projects, but any kind of change. Large organizations who change their business model. That's all about change. Those are projects that drive that. So a good understanding of change management and the terminology that's used for change management and some of the things that are the data that is collected about the way the organization runs today and the way it wants to run in the future. Very important to supporting the move from level 1 and maturing up to the next level. There are many change management resources and consultants who can help you with this. Kris, at the end of our webinar today, is going to remind us of some of the areas that CPD can bring to us for helping with this, as well as other resources within SUNY who can help with change management. She'll be doing that at the end of the webinar. Another way that you can do this, move from ad hoc to abbreviated repeatable, next slide, would be to apply change management to isolated projects. So take a specific project that is in your portfolio now and apply some change management to it. Take the one that you believe would be most accepting or willing to work with change management and use those management techniques to help projects that are experiencing a resistance. You may find that some people are much more willing to and open to having the change management apply to their specific project. Use that to your benefit to help move from ad hoc level 1 to level 2. Okay, another reason you would use this on isolated projects is a way to pilot it within your department or organization. Get people familiar with the logo, the terminology that's used in change management. Get them used to expectations that come about from projects. Use it as a pilot. Figure out what worked well, record it, and then maybe roll it out to a larger set of projects. That will help people get familiar with how to work with project managers and work with the terminology that change brings about. Okay, I think we have another poll coming up. And this poll, you would respond in the same way. So think back to your organization and moving it from level 1 to level 2. Remember, I did say that one of the differences between level 1 and level 2 is level 2 begins to track some type of either cost, schedule, or functionality. So what would be reasonable, or what might your organization use to track its functionality? How do you verify that the work of the project team will meet the expectations of the customer? And you can select all that apply here in this poll. If you have a option that you've used that it doesn't appear here, feel free to add it in the chat session and Kris will let us know. Okay, so it looks like we have some responses from the first 4, which is good. So those are all good documented ways of proving or verifying that your project team is actually delivering on what the customer expected to do. You've got it right there in writing, so you are tracking results in a good way. Okay, so let's go on and we'll see what we can do to move up to from the abbreviated to organize and define. So remember, abbreviated repeatable is level 2, and moving from level 2 to level 3 called organized and defined. Here's some topics that can be used to help you get from level 2 to level 3. Create some knowledge bases or knowledge articles about the different change management initiatives that you used. So if you did have a consultant come in and do a measurement of your current state and your future state, be sure to share those results, make people familiar with what was done, why it was done, what were the benefits of that, how did it result in a different meaningful way of running projects. You can also do some research in best practices. There is a lot of information on the web about change management, specifically in IT. There's a whole body of knowledge from ITIL version 4 or ITSM, which is IT service management, which is the industry we're in higher education. There's many, many articles, conferences, books about best practices with that. Another topic that was brought up was creating clusters of project teams to apply these change management principles. So you could almost take your isolated projects that you had targeted in level 2 and then create a cluster of a project team to which apply the change management principles to specific projects. So now you not only have a group of projects to apply the changes to, now you're beginning a center of excellence with your project teams to apply those same changes. There are some additional areas to help move from level 2 to level 3 on the next slide. You can start collecting knowledge and tools. Again, there are many, many resources on the web or through conferences about IT service management. Celebrating success, always a big thing. Once you've applied some of these principles and get some good, solid successes under your belt, always celebrate those. Good news travels fast, as you know, and people can really begin to feel good about what these changes bring about. Another area that is really, really important, I can't stress enough, is executives and senior leaders who oversee multiple projects. Most of them have a portfolio that they're responsible for in their specific departments. So they have a set of projects that are all they're responsible for. If you can get their ear and get them involved in helping you to make these changes, they're going to be an advocate to make it easier for the staff that you'll be working with while you're managing these projects. Another place that you could use it to share these successes and to get the word out are any of a number of technical tools such as SharePoint or Confluence or any other web-based system that would publish or would post different areas that have been successful for the project team members. We use Microsoft Teams here through O365, and most of our projects have a Teams channel that we're working on. So we keep in touch with each other about the projects using Teams, but we also have a way to post the general overall work of the project on a ServiceNow platform where anybody who's working on the project can visit the project site and learn about the status of the project, the tasks that are completed, the tasks that are coming up, the amount of time we expect it to take. We have an issues log. Projects are experiencing issues. There's one place to go to learn what they are and how we are recommending them to be solved. Another area that is very helpful is to have a sounding board. And we find that our community of practice here on the workplace is a really good sounding board. If you're having some questions about how to approach something, we've got a team of experienced project managers right on workplace who can help you, or at least help you think through some of the areas that you're having some struggles with. So there's a plethora of resources around SUNY to help with this. Okay, so we didn't have anybody who voted that they were already at level 4, and that doesn't surprise me, and it's not a bad thing. I'll just cover these next few slides pretty quickly since we don't have any audience members who are in there. But you can always download this slide deck for future reference in case you move yourself or your project management office up through these maturity scales. There's some good detail in here to help you move up the scale. So if we're looking at level 4, organize, define, going up to level 5, here's where executive support is even more important. Is when you are attempting to build these competencies, you truly need to start at grassroots with building competencies for the people delivering the projects, but you also need to have the competency recognized and rewarded at the higher levels of the organization. Very often the common methodology is chosen by top level. So if they decide that they're going to be an ITIL shop or an ITSM shop, then there's the common methodology comes along with that. It's necessary also to budget some time and some dollars to really invest in the tools and the training to roll out this common methodology. ITEC had made that investment several years ago when we did go with the ITIL route, and we did hold a lot of simulations to help people understand more about the terminology and the principles of ITIL in general, and that is how we've generated the successes that we have with a rollout of ServiceNow and our rollout of our service desk here at ITEC. When you're in this level, this is where governance of process has to come into play. And that is something that really needs support from top level. Many times an outside consultant is called in to help with figuring out how to best govern these policies and procedures and competencies that you're attempting to support within your organization. Another area that's important here are the development of soft skills. And I know Kris is going to speak to some of the training opportunities here at the end of the presentation, but I can't say enough about the importance of learning soft skills when you're in a project management role. It's not all technical. Most of it is actually negotiation and communication, all very important to this. Okay, and then finally, if we move to the final scale, this is where you're going from level 4 to level 5. In almost all cases, there's going to be a formal position or a group who is responsible for keeping this within its guardrails. So it's normally a community of practice, or it's a center of excellence in a large company, and their job is to be sure that departments remain compliant with the procedures that the company has invested in. And anytime that they have an opportunity for training or to get people to be refreshed on new procedures, they do that. They normally do audits in companies, so they're looking for non-compliance. They analyze gaps that aren't from departments or organizations that are not following the methodology the way that it was expect them to. This is usually found, like I said earlier, in much larger organizations. Okay. Are we coming up to the next poll, Kris? I'm not sure. I couldn't remember where it was.
Yes, I think we are.
Okay. Yeah, good. All right, this poll is really trying to drill down on you thinking of the management of your organization and how might they help you and help your projects that are experiencing resistance. You may get people on the functional side, you may get people on the technical side who say to you, oh, well, we've done it this old way forever and we don't want to change. So that's resistance, right? How can your management help you make your project successful when you're experiencing some of this resistance? We've listed some areas here. You can vote on the ones that you have used or you think you could use or your management might be willing to use to help you. Kris, did we get anybody in the chat with an other vote? Something that isn't represented here?
Nope, I don't see
Nope.
any as of yet.
Okay. Okay. Looks like we have the votes are in. Yeah, I think number B is always important no matter what. When you're attempting to get people to work on your project stuff along with all the other stuff that they've been asked to do, really good to have a one sentence statement telling them what's in it for them. If they do this task or this activity, what is it in it for them? So that's always good to have in your back pocket. Okay, good. Don't know if anyone has questions at this point. Please put them in the chat window.
And if you're not watching this live and you're watching the replay, still feel free to put those questions in the chat window. Christa and I spend a lot of time in this group and we will see the notifications that things are there. And we'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you, as well as the other members of our group. They can maybe give you some advice as well, or what's worked well for their organization, or maybe chime in on, what their issues are.
Right, I just want to add that level 5 is the optimized level, and we're very cognizant of the fact that it would be a big lift for SUNY to get our whole system to this level. But that said, the Center of Excellence for Project Management does exist. It exists on this workplace platform, as well as within many of our individual campuses. There are a lot of good things going on, and when I visit campuses or talk to people who are working in project management offices loosely named, maybe not, they're not named project management offices, but they are performing the function of a true project management office. A lot of good work going on there, and we do have quite a bit of talent running our projects across our enterprise here. I'm really bringing this forward because I think it's important to know that people have areas to reach out to get help with things that they may be struggling with, because chances are very good someone else has experienced that same thing and could use just a little nudge or a little idea from you when it comes to working with the changes that projects bring about. So we want to wrap up here then and just do a summary slide about project management being really change management. You'll see this diagram here. There's the three circles. Change management is really an art and science, and so is project management. It's really one and the same. You can see here that where the intersection occurs, the sweet spot, that's what the art and the science of change management really is. And that's when you get the people, the technology, and the process all working together towards the same end. Many times people are frustrated because they have the people and the process down, but they don't have the technology, or they have the people and the technology, they have no process. That would be level one, your chaos. You also obviously need people at all times, because you can have lots of process and lots of technology, but if you don't have the people element who bring it together for you and put the nice bow around it, you'll have people who are alienated. So the point here is when you're running projects or large portfolios for your departments, you're really talking about the effect of change on your organization, and that this art of project and change management is trying to find that sweet spot where all three of these come together: the people, the process, and the technology. Projects are first about people, and then you layer on top of it with process and technology. You have to recognize what your existing culture is like first, and then use your soft skills, your negotiation skills, and communication to help people understand why this change should come about and how it will benefit them. And that answers their question, the what's in it for me question. All right, I think I'm at the end of my presentation. Kris, if you want to go to the next slide, see if we have questions, and maybe talk through some of our upcoming training opportunities.
Yeah, so I don't see any questions right now. So I'm going to give some people some more time, maybe connect with us on Workplace and put a question in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think and how we can help you. So we do have some upcoming project management training opportunities. If you've never attended a project management fundamentals class, we are looking to hold one in the spring 2020 and the fall 2020 semesters. We try to hold them at least once a semester, either here in Syracuse at the SUNY CPD, or possibly either on a campus or another location throughout the state that's convenient for the people that are looking to attend. Also, you may be well versed in what project management fundamentals covers, but you may have people in your organization that aren't. Project management fundamentals kind of puts everybody on the same table, on the same level. Uses a lot of common methodologies, common terms, and things like that, so that you guys can communicate about the technology, about the process, and that sort of stuff like Christa was talking about. So we've got some different date possibilities for spring 2020, and we're looking to hold a class. So if you or somebody in your organization is looking to take the PMF class, please respond to the survey below. It is also located in this workplace group. It's another post with the SurveyMonkey link to it. We'd love to hear what works for you guys, what would be best, and what doesn't work, so that we can move along with that. And as well, if you didn't attend our project management regional forum that we held in November, we are looking to hold another one in the spring. We're considering possibly holding one each semester. So this one we're looking to do online. Our last one was in person and online. When we did the follow-up survey to the last forum, most people indicated that they would rather attend online. And we know you are all very busy. Travel can be difficult, as well as getting approval for that travel, depending on where you're located. So we're looking to do another one through Zoom, a nice webinar as well, like we did before. We're looking to understand what topics you guys want to talk about, what you need help with, what things you want to discuss with other campuses that are doing project management, as well as the dates for when it would be best to hold the forum. So if you're looking to possibly attend and want to influence our curriculum, our agenda, and when we hold it, please also respond to the SurveyMonkey survey at the bottom of your screen and in the workplace group. We'd love to hear what you think. We're looking to serve you and your needs and make this your community of practice. So please let us know. And lastly, if you are looking for any formalized training in project management, we have a nice group of vendors on contract here with the SUNY CPD that teach a variety of different classes. If you haven't heard of IIL, the International Institute for Learning, they're located out of New York City. They have some wonderful classes for project management. It's one of their focus areas that they have. They also do stuff with ITIL. So if you're looking to finish up or start ITIL 4, they are starting to promote that as well. They also offer CAP-M and PMP certification prep classes. So if you're looking to become CAP-M certified or PMP in 2020 or even early 2021, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to give you the different options that you have so that you can take a class and prepare for that test. They have on-demand options, so you can watch it at your convenience. They have online live options, and they also have in-person options. So if you happen to be located close to New York City, that's where most of the United States classes happen. So you could pop down there, spend a week down in the city taking those classes. Their office is in Manhattan. We also work with New Horizons at Logical Operations. They are the New Horizon centers that are located along the Thruway. So they have 4 locations, I apologize. They're in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Albany. They also offer PMP and CAP-M classes, as well as classes on project and other products that you may be using for your project management needs. They also offer online live classes and in-person classes. With their online live, you have a couple options. If you're close to one of their centers, feel free to pop in and take it there. So if you'd like to get out of the office or home because you need less distractions, but you don't necessarily want an in-person or the in-person classes don't work with your schedule, you can actually take an online live right from their computer classrooms in one of those centers, or you can take the class in person as well if it is offered at one of the centers. And then Micro Knowledge is in the Latham area. They don't offer as much project management stuff, but they offer a lot of tools. So if you're looking to learn a particular tool and how you could possibly use it for project management, or your campus is looking to possibly adopt a tool and you want to learn a little bit about it beforehand, definitely check them out as well. We will put these links up for these different websites in the chat area so that you can take a look at them. Just understand that these contracts are through the SUNY CPD specifically, not necessarily SUNY. So if you want a quote for a particular class that you're interested in, feel free to email me. I can get a quote for you, let you know. We also offer the ability to not just pay by credit card for these different organizations, but you can actually use your ITEC points or your CPD points. You can use a credit card if you like, or you can use a journal transfer if you're a state operated campus, and you can also do a campus check as well. So it gives you guys a couple different options depending on what your training budget is at your organization campus to kind of decide what you need to do versus just using a credit card with them directly. So, all right. I don't see any comments or questions in the chat as of now. Like I indicated, if you're watching this post live, feel free to still add them in there. We'd be happy to understand, what you think of the presentation, what you think of your organization, and any issues, comments, best practices that you have. We'd love to hear those things. We'd love to share and make everybody better. Christa, did you have any final comments?
I just want to thank everyone for joining us today and look for our next webinar. The date is February.
Yeah, it is. Hold on.
And third Thursday of February.
No, actually, I think it's the 4th.
Is it the 4th?
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, we're always the 4th. So February
4th, you're right. 27th.
Yep, we'll be back live in February 27th.
And Kris will be sending out reminders and event invitations for that once we secure our speaker.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good
Have
day.
a great, bye.